Good evening, race fans, and welcome to race number 11 of the American Sim Racing Club, the Advantage Auction Super Late Model Tour, as we are here tonight at Irwindale Speedway. And my name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight, 1080p 60 frames a second, as drivers get themselves out on track and start their lone qualifying here tonight. And folks, it is going to be a hot one out there here tonight, as currently the temperature showing as 105 degrees Fahrenheit. It is going to be a rather hot day here today. So, let's go ahead and see who is out on track at the moment. Let's see where drivers are going to put themselves out on the grid here tonight, as we see a few drivers already making their way out onto track here. John DeMeester, Hayden Swank, Stephen Hoffman, Donovan Carty, Brian Wildison, all currently going to be the first drivers to put down official times here. David Payton going to be the next driver on the list, coming in fourth place there. But Hayden Swank currently the driver to beat with a 17.61 as his best time here tonight in the number 35 machine. So great work here for Hayden Swank. And will anyone else be able to top that speed here tonight at Irwindale? And I got to say, Irwindale with a nearly circular setup here. It is going to be quite an interesting night, and also rather flat as well. So some flat track racing is always a great time, and hopefully we see a good number of drivers here tonight. It does appear that we're going to be a little shorter than usual, but that is a-okay. As we're taking a look right now at Charles Darling, currently 5th place in the timing at the moment. Taking a look now at Eric Kahn here as well, but so far it seems the field is set as only a couple drivers remain. Eric Kahn, Nick Fleury, to be exact at the moment, the only drivers left to put down some times here. And it looks like Zach Heiser as well, but I'm not certain if Zach plans to come out here tonight and to race. I'm not 100% certain on that at the moment, but we'll find out momentarily, as there's only a few minutes left before we see the checkered flag fly here for our qualifying session, and drivers find themselves getting ready for the first heat lap, for the first heat races of the night, before we move on into our feature. And I do believe it will be probably just one heat. Nope, never mind. It's going to be two separate heats, as we're going to go ahead and start up our first one of the night. And rounding up our first grid, Tanner Tallarico, again, not here physically in the race, but is overseeing things. The owner, the league admin, Tanner Tallarico, always doing a fantastic job. But up at the front row, Deontay Hewer, and in the second row, Brian Wildison, Donovan Carty going to be taking up the second row. Stephen Hoffman and Ron Hart in your third row, and Andrew Payne going to be starting off at the back of the pack here in the number 93 machine. So let's see what these drivers have in store as they get ready for the pace truck to make its way around the field here for the first time, and we get ready to go racing here at Irwindale Speedway for the first time. Folks, I'm ready to go, and I hope you folks are at home, as, again, we're going to get ourselves some good action from the folks, from the drivers here with American Sim Racing Club for the Advantage Auction Super Late Model Tour. And a big shout out and a big thank you to Advantage Auction as well for being a series sponsor here at the American Sim Racing Club. It's always great to have that kind of support behind these series, and allowing, well, being able to continue to do what we do here with American Sim Racing Club is not only just for the broadcasting, but to allow these guys to continue to host these races and to come together as a league. So great to see that happening, and great to have Advantage Auction a part of that. So just a few seconds before we see the pace truck make its way and there we go. A little bit of a delayed start there seemingly from our pace truck, but that's all right. As we're going to go ahead and get the field lined up and ready to go for the 9 laps for our first heat race of the night. And I got to say, it is going to be interesting to see what kind of battles we're going to see for, well, really for where they're going to put themselves on the starting lineup for the feature race here tonight. So position is going to be crucial on a track like this, where you're not going to have a whole lot of time to be in the straights. You're going to spend most of your time cranking that wheel as little to the left as you possibly can, but still trying to rotate that car. And it's going to be a true game of balance here for these drivers tonight. And I got to say, I'm excited to see what they have in store, as Deontay Hewer, Brian Wilderson, both going to take the front row and get themselves ready for tonight's race. And away they go as the green flag drops here for the very first time at Irwindale. 6 laps to go, and Deontay Hewer, not such a great run here for the 00 machine. Into the wall here through 1 and 2, but gets it back together through 3 and 4. Drivers all down on the apron, taking as low of a line as they possibly can there. Brian Wilderson going to see Stephen Hoffman. Oh boy, a little bit of action though from the 51 of Ron Hart, almost getting into the back end of Deontay Hewer in the 00 machine. Andrew Payne holding on to that 3rd place spot with Deontay right on his tail. Brian Wilderson continuing to hold on to this lead as much as he possibly can here with Stephen Hoffman in that 2nd place spot. Andrew Payton continuing to hold on to that 3rd place spot. But Stephen Hoffman utilizing that apron through 3 and 4, trying to stay as low as he possibly can here, among other drivers here. I gotta wonder how long that is. How long Brian Wilderson is going to retain this lead for, if Steven is able to make that move into the front. But Andrew Payne's also starting to close in on him here and reel these two in. Taking a look on board from the roof camera, there we see Andrew right on the, almost on the bumper here, the number 23. We can also see Stephen Hoffman as we're coming out of 4 and coming into 1 and 2. Very, very close to the bumper of the 951 of Brian Wilderson. And here Andrew Payne's trying to get as close as he can as they nearly go side by side in the battle for 2nd place and really for the 1st place spot. Here is 2 laps left to go, side by side, almost banging doors between one another. Andrew Payne backs off there, allowing those two to continue it out as the white flag flies. Hoffman gets a little bit of a bump there, it looked like, down to the bottom of turn 1. Has to recover back into 3rd place. Andrew Payne now fighting for that 1st place spot here. Wilderson going to take it across the line for the win here in the 1st heat race. Going to find himself up on the front row here for the feature, and that is going to conclude our 1st heat race here of the night. And moving on into our 2nd heat race, let's go ahead and go through our starting lineup here. Zach Heiser, John DeMeester going to be up in the front row. Eric Hahn, David Payton going to take up the 2nd row, with Charles Darling and Nick Fleury in our 3rd row. Hayden Swank going to round out the field here in that 7th place spot in the number 35 machine, as we await for our pace truck to make its way once again And it will be a quick one this time around here with Eric Hahn, John DeMeester, both going to be up in the front row here. As we wait for that pace truck to make its way down into pit road, it'll be the next time by. And we will see the green flag drop here for the second time here at Irwindale Speedway for the Advantage Auction Super Late Model Tour here with American Sim Racing Club. And here we go. Into the restart box we go, and the green flag drops once more. Eric Hahn not taking any time here, not hesitating. John DeMeester not quite having the best start here. Hayden Swank also getting bumped down to the bottom here. Not sure if that was quite intentional coming out of turn 2. But here we go. Charles Darling trying to get a good run here in the number 88 machine. Meanwhile, just behind them, the number 25 of Nick Fleury and David Payton both make contact with one another just on the high side of turn number 1. Both of them able to get their cars restarted and back on track here, but that is without coming at a significant loss in position, and the yellow flag being flown here at Irwindale. Alright, so while our ticker is currently showing the incorrect information here, we're just going to go with what our eyes see, and maybe not. Anyway, back to green flag racing here for the second time in our second heat race. Charles Darling going to have a much better chance to get away from the field this time by Eric Hahn, the previous leader in this group. Now going to be trailing in that second place spot in a whole group of drivers all fighting for position. Just behind him, John DeMeester in the number 2 machine trying to get a good run here. Hayden Swank getting a little bit too close for comfort. Excuse me. David Payton, Nick Fleury, both fighting tooth and nail with one another. There's a little bit of contact between Payton and Hayden Swank. More contact between the two as they continue on. Charles Darling still your leader. He's going to take it away here for the win, I do believe. More contact. Nick Fleury, John DeMeester both touch doors. DeMeester goes into the wall. But the white flag is out here. Darling retains his lead. Eric Hahn still in second. Hayden Swank sitting in that 4th place spot. He looks to go down low here. Potentially he does move himself into 2nd place. As the checker flag flies and across the line, Hayden Swank, Eric Hahn both taking 2nd and 3rd. With Charles Darling being your winner here for the second heat race. All right, and while drivers have a little bit of time here to get themselves warmed up and ready to go for the feature, we're also going to try and fix some issues up here in the booth. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere, because we'll be back for some more action here with American Sim Racing Club right here on Team Goon Squad. Well, folks. Oh, okay, we do have life from it. All right, perfect. Great timing. All right, let's go ahead and run through our starting lineup here today. Brian Wildison, Charles Darling going to take the front row here. Andrew Payne, Hayden Swank going to be in the second row. Stephen Hoffman, Eric Hahn in our third row. Ron Hart and David Payton in the fourth row. Donovan Carty and Nick Fleury in our fifth row. Deontay Hewer, John DeMeester taking up our sixth row here tonight. Moving ourselves down the grid here. Last and certainly not least here, Zach Heiser rounding out the field. A 100 laps in total that we will see here at Irwindale, and I gotta say, they will fly by in a blink of an eye. But the bigger question is, will we see, how clean of a race will we see from these drivers? Granted, it's a little bit of a smaller field than what we might be used to here for the American Sim Racing Club. That shouldn't really stop these guys from getting, well, from wanting to beat doors with one another. So we will have to wait and see just how aggressive some of these drivers may or may not want to be here today, given just how difficult this track may prove to be here tonight. But here we go. The green flag drops here for the very first time, and Brian Wildison off to an excellent start here. The number 951 machine, or the 43 machine rather, as it's showing on his machine. But Charles Darling holding on to that second place spot, but Stephen Hoffman still utilizing that apron that we've seen in the heat races here as well. Also being used here in the feature, proving to be somewhat effective. And will other drivers start to do the same here as the race goes on? So far, Brian Wildison keeping the lead at the moment. Charles Darling opting to stay right behind our current leader at the moment. And Stephen Hoffman, the 23 machine, very committed to this bottom lane. I'm not 100% certain if it's going to work out for him in the end, but here we go. Brian Wilson does in fact go down to that bottom apron this time by. I'm not certain if it's something he plans to do every time or if it's something he only wants to do every now and then, as I can only imagine that's not going to be too kind on the tires here. But Wilson, second time around. Oh boy, we've got some trouble happening towards the back of the field though. Looked to be Nick Fleury possibly involved with it, as well as maybe Eric Hahn and David Payton. And I'm not exactly 100% certain there, but there was definitely quite a few cars jumbled up there for a moment. And I gotta say, these guys are keeping themselves in nice little packs and keeping the battles intense here very early on in this race. And I suppose the multi-lane action that we're seeing here is to thank for that at the moment, because it's hard to get this kind of action at a lot of other tracks. So it's really great to see these guys all having different options to use here at Irwindale, and all of them being used simultaneously. But here is a ride on board here with David Payton, the number 38 driver. Just a little bit of an inside look here, and let's actually ride on board from the helmet camera here, get a little bit of a better view and get a bird's eye view of what David Payton is looking at here on track. And currently sitting 7th place at the moment. It seems like as a driver, it seems like you could just almost reach out and grab the drivers ahead of you, but it's those few tenths of a second that always seem to be the hardest to get. That's the best way to put it. But so far, so good for our field, and frankly, everyone's still doing a phenomenal job, and no one really showing any signs of making any sort of, well, silly mistakes here, is what I would like to say. Everyone doing a phenomenal job keeping with one another, trying to keep the race green, and all around just having a good time, a fun race with one another, because it seems like they are having a good time down there on track, and honestly making me a little jealous at this moment. But luckily for me, I get to bring all of this action to you folks watching at home, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it just as much as I am here tonight. In lap 17 of 100, still a ways to go here tonight, and just a little bit before we reach our quarter of the way mark. But Brian Wilson still holding on to this lead at the moment. And Charles Darling, Hayden Swank in that second and third place spots. Not much has changed. Stephen Hoffman still doing everything that he can to try and get the fastest line possible and keep himself in the mix for the top three here, but Brian Wilderson, Hayden Swag, Charles Darling. All three of these guys are pretty much all using the same exact line here, and Hoffman, the kind of outlier in this situation, not really seeing a whole lot of success, I would say, with the real low line that he's been using so far this race, and now it seems to be he's kind of stepping in line with the top three and seeing what he can do now there. But Ron Hart, the 51 machine, also looking to see what he can do here in the final, well, I say final, but here on lap 23, and things are only getting warmed up here for these drivers, and I gotta say, roughly 75 laps still left to go. I will say, excuse me, I will say with how long we've, or well, not necessarily how long, but with the 26 laps that we've seen so far, I'm definitely surprised and impressed by the variety of lines that we've seen here tonight. Drivers utilizing almost every square inch of this racetrack here today, and it is just phenomenal to witness. It's a great thing to witness a track like Irwindale, where you just have multiple lanes to work with, and just makes the racing a lot more interesting and a lot more exciting from a spectator's point of view and from a broadcasting point of view, as we continue to see the top four, top five roughly, all continue to stay with one another, and really all kind of just waiting for someone in the pack to make a mistake here, whether it's the leader, whether it's someone in the middle, whatever the case might be. Everyone here so far has been very consistent. But will we see anyone try and push it just a little bit too much and get themselves into a little bit of trouble here? So far, it seems like everyone's got their head on straight, but you never know. Someone might get a little bit too, well, too excited and want to try and push just a little bit further. But that's all it takes, is just that little bit to send you over the edge, and that's what racing is all about. Racing being on the very, very bleeding edge. Donovan Carty here having some problems. His timing and scoring is showing he's got himself into a little bit of trouble here. Let's see if we can get a quick look at a replay of what happened here to the number 3. And there it is. Oh boy. Not what you want to see at all here. Good wrench number 3 machine finding itself up on its side, and that is going to have some severe damage to that car. Unfortunately, having to bring it down into the pits, and gonna have to work out whatever they can in what time that they have left, and not a whole lot of it at that. Yellow flag is out here now as well, as we've got trouble here in just in between turn 3 and 4. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened here between Andrew Payne and David Payton. And boy, oh boy, they both get themselves involved in it. Oh no, and Eric Hahn also finding himself involved in it as well. Let's see if we can take one more look at that and see exactly. So here we see Andrew Payne ducking, or well, trying to find some room below David Payton, and Payton unfortunately gets clipped from behind, and Andrew Payne gets sent sliding here as well. They both make contact with one another again, and Eric Hahn also finding himself in that collision as well. So that's going to restack the field here once again with the pace truck. And Eric Hahn, well, excuse me, Brian Wildison, David Payton, or rather, Brian Wildison, Charles Darling, and Hayden Swank are going to take your top 3 here. Alrighty, folks, single file restart this time around. And the green flag flies here once again at Irwindale with Brian Wildison, Charles Darling, Hayden Swank all in your top 3 here at the moment. Charles Darling, Hayden Swank both going to have a little bit of a bout here for the second place spot. Is Swank going to take it down way low. Darling going to stay up on the high line here. A few drivers behind them also opting to take that bottom lane here as well. They bang doors between one another. Darling, Swank, they continue on through 3 and 4. Darling a little bit of a contact there to the wall, but keeps it together. Swank continuing to stay down way low here. Darling staying up on the high line here. Looks to be Darling's able to get a little bit better exit speed, while Hayden Swank has got a little bit of a faster line when using that bottom lane. Charles Darling, Hayden Swank, Stephen Hoffman, all in a line here. Also have Ron Hart starting to get into the mix of things here as well. let's take a moment to ride on board and let's have a listen to the sights and sounds here at Irwindale Speedway as we ride on board with Ron Hart, the number 51 machine. And there is trouble as there is contact. Big contact here as well. Let's see if we can get a look at exactly what unfolded here. Oh boy, Hayden Swank, a big flip here from the 35 machine. I think that might be the end of Hayden's race here. We're going to have to hit the rewind button. Here on the old tape recorder, it looks to be Charles Darling. Oh boy, Swank just a little bit too high. Darling might have also not seen Hayden Swank coming in, but either way, ending in catastrophe for both of these drivers. Alright, pace truck getting ready to head back down into pit road. Brian Wilderson, Stephen Hoffman, Ron Hart take your top three. Nick Fleury, David Payton in your fourth and fifth place spots. Deontay Hewer in sixth, Andrew Payne in seventh. Charles Darling in eighth, John DeMeester in ninth, Hayden Swank in 10th, Eric Kahn at 11th, and Donovan Carty in 12th, and Zach Heiser taking 13th here tonight. And away we go here once again here at Irwindale Speedway. The green flag drops and Brian Wilderson taking the lead once more. As the action continues to spread out here. Deontay Hewer getting himself a good start here on this restart. Lap 47-48 now of 100 as we cross the checkered line. Deontay able to get himself up into sixth place, up 5 spots where he started here tonight. So looking to secure potentially a top 5 finish here for the 00 machine. And let's see if Deontay is going to pull that one off here tonight before everything is all said and done. As I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, these 100 laps are going to go by fast, and there is not a whole lot of time left to be had for a lot of these drivers. Getting a good look on board here with Nick Fleury in the number 25 machine. That is a good look of kind of what the bottom lane line looks like from the perspective of the driver, if you will, or relatively close to that. Brian Wilderson continuing to hold on to the lead, but right now Stephen Hoffman in the number 23 is looking to potentially take that lead from him here in the second half of tonight's race. As he was right on the bumper there not too long ago, and will he be able to make a move around the 43 machine here before long? As Ron Hart's also starting to close in here on the top three, and Nick Fleury lurking just in the background here as well as they cross the checkered line. Lap 59 of 100 here for the American Sim Racing Club Advantage Auction Super Late Model Touring Series. And if you guys like the racing here, if you want to be a part of it, head on over to AmericanSimRacingClub.com and check out all the leagues that they have there, or all the series that they have there, and see if it's something that you would like to be a part of. Again, that's AmericanSimRacingClub.com. See if you yourself could be a champion here in the Super Late Model Touring Series, or any of the other series that they have. Wilderson continuing to hold off the pressure here from Stephen Hoffman for this lead spot, and occasionally throwing in a curveball here, it seems like, for Wilderson, as Brian is trying everything he can to break away from this 23 machine, but nothing seems to be working at the moment. We'll take a ride on board with Brian, looking out the rear view. Boy, trouble there for the 51 of Ron Hart. Getting a little bit bent out of shape, but managing to keep it together. Ericon going to see himself getting the lap down here, but Wilderson continuing on. Just about 30 laps left to go here at the moment, and so far all seems well for the majority of this field, or at least what's left of it, as few drivers having to call it a race here, taking it behind the pits, taking it behind the wall in the pits. Unfortunately, having to call it a night here. But a battle for the top three continues on as Stephen Hoffman, Ron Hart getting awfully close to one another. Keeping things green, keeping things clean. Ron Hart going to take it down low once again, going to skid side by side here with the number 23 machine. Again, keeping things clean between the two, but very close. Almost could put a piece of paper between them. Wilderson just doing a phenomenal job holding on to this lead here. Getting a ride on board here with Nick Fleury, the 25 machine, as currently sitting in 4th place, but seems to be on a mission to make that change here, as he's trying to fight his way up into the top 3, but it's going to take a little bit more work than what he's putting in right now, I think, to make that happen here with 25 laps left to go, or maybe even just a little bit of luck. Fleury is determined, and I know he's got the skill to pull it off here, but will he have enough time? Trouble up ahead here for Ron Hart in the number 51 machine, having to fall back just a little bit in contact between Ron Hart and Stephen Hoffman. They managed to keep it together, though. Keeping the race green and clean. Almost 3 wide between the drivers behind the first place spot. But all of them each wanting to get up here into the top 3. Hoffman gets into the rear end of Nick Fleury. Nick Fleury recovers excellent from that one. Door to door here, and more contact to Fleury. Still staying green here as they all still recover from the little bits of contact that we've been seeing here as we approach 20 laps left to go here at Irwindale. With 18 laps left to go, Wilderson, Ron Hart able to break away from the rest of the field just by a little bit. But now Wilderson gonna have the 51 machine to worry about here as they start to close the distance to the checkered flag. Meanwhile, behind them, more battles continue on, but not quite as aggressively as we were seeing just moments ago. And even some drivers laps down, trying to get themselves back into the mix of things, or at least just cross the line and finish tonight's race. Battle for the lead forming here as Wilderson, Ron Hart go at it. Side by side, door to door between the two. Ron Hart able to take the lead away. But Wilderson down to the bottom here once again, trying to retake that lead. Overdrives it into 1 and 2 just by a little bit. Wilderson now going to be left out hung to dry as Ron Hart able to work his way through 3 and 4. Without trying to overdo it too much here, but Wilderson now going to have to play a game of catch-up with 10 laps left to go. All right, 6 laps left to go here. Ron Hart, after a successful maneuver into the lead, Ron Hart able to take away this lead, and Brian Wilderson doing all that he can to try and recover and get himself back to the front here. Stephen Hoffman also putting pressure on the number 43 driver as Hoffman continues his fight here into the top 3, but Hoffman's done an impressive job keeping up here in the top 3. With 2 laps left to go, Ron Hart only has to take it across the line one more time, and he will be victorious here tonight at Irwindale Speedway. As he come out of turn number 4, and he slides his way across the checkered line for the win here tonight. Brian Wilderson in second, and Stephen Hoffman taking home 3rd place here tonight as they all bump doors with one another to celebrate. But folks, that is going to conclude our coverage here tonight of the 11th round of the American Sim Racing Club Advantage Auction Super Late Model Tour. And we're going to end it off here, folks, as we're going to forego our post-race interviews here tonight, unfortunately, as my wisdom tooth is currently not doing too hot. It is making my face hurt. So with that, folks, I hope to see you all again, and I hope that you all enjoyed the action here tonight. If you did, hit that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure that you catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 nights a week. Thank you all for tuning in and watching, and I will see you all in the next one.